What is the current? That's a lot. A lot. All right. Hey, people are here. Coding Commanders, Daniel, Marco. Thank you for joining the stream. I am very late. I mean, technically, if you're expecting it on Sunday, I'm super early, but to what I said previously, I'm very late. Actually, I didn't even announce it on the stream, so some people might even know that I changed it to today. So let's just pretend that I'm early. How about that? All right. I appreciate that. So there are so many topics today. Like, if Ubuntu hadn't released, there would still be like 20-something topics. But then there's also like all the Ubuntu stuff, so there's a lot. Just a ton of stuff. All right. I'm gonna almost set up, prepared for it, everything. What's the most exciting? Oh, there's a lot of stuff. I mean, LXQt has a new release today. Actually, like it was released today. A lot of games are on sale. There's a 3D printer that is based on a BeagleBone Black, which is really cool. So it's not super cheap, but it's pretty cheap for what it is. There's a bunch of stuff, and each version of Ubuntu, there's a ton of stuff. Like, there's just a lot. Just a lot. Most of it's cool. So some of it's not so cool. Some of it's really, really lame, and I included it because it's so lame, and it amused me. Might get some hate on it, though. I don't think so, but maybe. Who doesn't love printing things? I agree. Games for sure. Yeah, the 3D printer costs in this case I think like 500. You are 4 hours late. No, Marco. Let's forget. I already said I'm ignoring that reality and substituting the early for Sunday. So, just going to leave that at that. All right. So that's ready to go. I can close that. I have, just so you know, because I'm running a bunch of stuff, I have 11 gigs of my 16 gigs being ran right now. See if I can switch and show you. Yeah, here we go. This is why. Cylon candy, nice. That is a lot of plasma. Plasma makes it really easy to do a lot of prep. But I was going to do a lot more like fanciness, but I decided to just do one fancy because, well, it was a lot more work than I was hoping. But whatever. So, I'll go ahead and jump into the some part of it. Oh, right, I needed to do that. Okay, should be good to go. Coming up on this week of oh man, I messed up the first sentence. Seriously. Oh, okay. Okay. Wow. Coming up on this episode of This Week in Linux, Canonical releases Ubuntu 17.10, one of the biggest releases of Ubuntu in years. We'll take a brief look at the latest release as well as all the other releases for each official flavor. We'll also talk about the potential news as to whether Canonical is planning to become a public company with an IPO or not. Spoiler, they are. Yes. We see some updates for other distros like Fedora 27, Solus, and more. LXQt 0.12 was released this week, actually today. In fact, I think this show might be the first source to cover the news. We also have some Linux hardware and Linux gaming news. There is just so much this week, so let's just jump into it. $50. Well, it was just funny to me because I did it on the first one. Oh, I can rap. I got flows. Not really. No, Paul. It was just I'm bad at this. That's all. I mean, technically, I was ready to go, and you just made me wait. It was rude. So, yeah, it's all Simon's fault. Sure. Candy, I will do that. I mean, I don't really have any shame, so I'll definitely do that. It's all right with me. Let's see. Yeah, chicken, that did. All right, I'm going to go ahead and like knock out this little ad thing. This is not where I'm going to place it. I'm just going to say it just to get it done. I need to have that like always on top or something. Always on top. There we go. Epic Rap Battles of Linux. I'd do it. Yep. I mean, I've actually written some like joke Linux songs and stuff before. I'd do it. Why not? I don't remember most of them. It's usually like, random stuff. I'm going to put some, like, the top news towards the front, though. Oh, did I do that? I think I left my dogs outside. Oh, that's mean. I'm going to go get them in a second. All right. Actually, I'm going to go get them. I'll be right back. This is the wonders of live stream. I didn't actually leave them. I was just paranoid. Alrighty. Okay. This episode of This Week in Linux is sponsored by the TuxDigital community, or to be more specific, the patrons who help with the expenses of the show in the TuxDigital Patreon. If you'd like to help out with this show, you can visit patreon.com/TuxDigital and check it out. If you don't think you can contribute much, I just want to make it clear that even $1 a month is incredibly appreciated. I plan on trying to buy some new equipment for the show, so if you're able to become a patron, it would be a lot of a ton of help if you could contribute or whatever. That's so bad. I'm gonna I'm just gonna edit it. It is what it is. It is what it is. Screwed it up, but I'm gonna leave it in because we do it live. All right. Those are the only things that are scripted. Everything else is I'm just gonna off the cuff it because naturally. All right. Probably actually shouldn't do it like this, but hey, I'm gonna. Well, it's like if I redo every time I mess up, it'll drive me crazy because I probably mess up more than I should. But hey, whatever. It is what it is. I'll probably say that many times. Okay. Next, first topic of the day. Everybody loves this one. And 16. Okay. Crack, or the key reinstallation attack vulnerability that was found in the Wi-Fi, is a problem. Definitely a problem. And unfortunately, it actually affects Linux and therefore Android the most. But so what the key reinstallation attack is effectively the handshake of the protocol for WPA2 is essentially broken. So when it will resend certain messages that can like tell the device that an authentication key is active or valid when it isn't. So it's an unfortunate situation, and the funny thing is that if you correctly implement the protocol as they suggested, that's the most vulnerable thing to do. And that's why Linux is the most vulnerable, because they did it correctly. So you're kind of screwed by doing it right. So like that's fun. Anyway, so I'm going to go more in depth on the actual problem and how to fix it and what to do and how big of a deal it is. But just for a quick overview, it's not really that big a deal because it's a locally isolated issue. So if you have Wi-Fi turned off, or you don't have Wi-Fi, or other things like that, you're not going to have to be worrying about it. And you're very unlikely as an individual household or anything to have to worry about it. But for companies, especially large companies, it is a huge problem that they should address. And thankfully, pretty much every Linux distro that I could find, like there's probably some obscure one maybe somewhere, but pretty much all of them I've tested have the patch built into it, including the Ubuntu 17 release ISO that was released this week. They at first thought they wouldn't have it in the patch, or have the patch in the ISO, but turns out they totally did, because they had to rebuild the ISO for something completely different and said, we might as well just put it in. So I like that. It's convenient and it's useful. That's enough for that one. I rambled on that one, but okay. Switching to my phone so I can walk on the beach and smoke while hearing my news. That's a good tactic. I like that. They released the wrong Kraken. Nice. Why you never do anything right? Because it just screws you over. Yep. You need to update the routers too. Yeah, you need to update everything. I'm going to do like an actual video specifically about it. Welcome to the stream, Thomas. All right, let's go to the next topic. I'm going to go my plan is to go through the segments individually instead of topic by topic, because topic by topic takes way too long. And it doesn't make too long to do it. It takes too long to edit it. So if I can do like a segment and then a segment, and like in between, take breaks and have like live chat conversations and stuff, it'll be better for me in the long run editing. So I'm going to try that for this episode. RSA, yeah, it is broke too. I'm not going to cover RSA now, because I only know a little bit about it. So this particular time, I'm not going to cover it. I'll put a video. I'm going to make a video about it though after I research it. All right. Yeah, OpenSSL was by default secure, I think. All right, let's do the next one. I forgot to put that on the thing. Always a key above. There we go. All right. I got to put it and mark it down, actually. 21, 25. App news. One of the funny ones is in this one. Is in this group. Up first in the news week. Blah, 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 blah. Up first in the news this week, Green Recorder 3.0.6 was released. And Green Recorder is currently the only method I know of to screen capture on a Wayland session. The reason I brought this up for this episode is that version 3.0.5 didn't support Ubuntu 17.10 that was released with Wayland by default. And as you can see, there's only one fix on this particular release, and that is that it now supports Ubuntu 17.10. Next up, the U.S. National Renewable Energy Lab released the source code for the System Advisor model. It's the NREL's most powerful renewable energy economic analysis software. Basically, for most people in the U.S., it's now profitable to install solar photovoltaic systems in their homes or businesses. But this is like a suite of tools that tell you. I'll give you an ability to see how much it will benefit you, or if it will or not. You can use the PV Watts tool, which is a free, quick, and easy tool already, but it's limited in certain ways. The SAM tool is actually much more powerful and gives you more flexibility. So if you have like a complex project, or you have like a particularly large deployment infrastructure, you would use something like this to do it. So it's really cool that this source code has been released and it's been put on GitHub. Speaking of open source, Uber has open sourced their Athena X software. It's their analytics streaming platform. The platform is Uber's way of channeling data from a variety of real-time sources while running streaming analytics using SQL. Athena X currently runs more than 220 applications in multiple Uber data centers, where the company says it is processing billions of messages every day. The estimate was that it could process 7 million messages per minute. So, as far as like scalability, this is interesting. It's kind of like how Facebook open sourced their infrastructure for their data center storage, and this is kind of like Uber's open sourcing their platform in a similar sense. So this is pretty interesting. Well, to me, Uber's not the greatest company, but this is still an interesting thing they're doing. Next up in the show, Apache OpenOffice 4.1.14 was released this week. OpenOffice has been under the control for the Apache Foundation since May of 2012. Apache OpenOffice became an Apache top-level project on October 17th, 2012, so this is like a celebration of the 5-year anniversary of OpenOffice becoming an Apache top-level project. The bittersweetness of this is since Apache took over OpenOffice, there have been only 9 releases in total. 6 of those releases are just maintenance releases for bug fixes and stuff like that. So this is a celebration of stagnation, essentially. Put it in perspective, LibreOffice has released 12 versions this year in comparison to 9 versions of OpenOffice ever. So, why does OpenOffice still exist, Apache? Could you, answer that question? I don't see a reason why it still exists. You could just forward openoffice.org to LibreOffice.org, and no one would care. No one would notice, really. Like in their notes, it says 200 million people or millions of people have downloaded OpenOffice since taking it over from the Apache project. Well, that's millions of unfortunate mistakes that you could fix. So go ahead and do that. $27. That one's done. That section's done. That was a little harsh, I know. But, why does it still exist? Come on. No one uses OpenOffice. The only people who download OpenOffice are people who don't know LibreOffice exists or, think it's the same thing or forget or whatever. It's just, there's no reason for it to exist at this point. I guess you're trying to say, Marco, I think you're trying to say that because LibreOffice is GPL. I don't see how that's a beneficial thing to do, though. And Apache APL means Apache Public License, not Apache License. It's a Apache Public License. But anyway, the point is, it doesn't matter how it's licensed if it's not maintained. And I didn't even include this in the show, but majority of the code that's being put out in OpenOffice, if you look at releases after the fact in LibreOffice, it's typically included. It's like they take whatever OpenOffice does, tweak it and improve it, put it in LibreOffice, and then every single time anything OpenOffice does is just obsolete pretty quickly because it's already being added to the other stuff. It's just let them join the document foundation or something. There's no reason for this. We don't need competing products, especially when one of them is massively winning. It's they just don't want to let go. Please, Apache, let go. For once, ever. There are some things I'm glad Apache has, but this ain't one of them. Let it go. I like only Office. I haven't tried that, honestly. I've looked at it, but I've not actually tried it. Okay. This next one is going to be... I didn't know OpenOffice is still a thing. Yeah, it's still a thing. And what's interesting is that OpenOffice was abandoned by Oracle. The day the announcement of Oracle's abandonment was made, LibreOffice made their first release. So they were right on it. And it was a year and a half, I think. Roughly a year and a half before Apache made their first release. So, oh, by the way, I didn't mention it either, but in the release for OpenOffice, this one that they announced this week, that's the first one since October of 2016. And it's just a maintenance release. It's just bug fixes. So it's not even features or anything. Yeah, the fresh and the... I forgot what they called the other one. Well, of course, LibreOffice is a thing. He was saying he doesn't know OpenOffice was a thing still. Of course, LibreOffice is. But OpenOffice was like abandoned for like a year, and Oracle handed over like the control to Apache. But at that time, all of the developers had already switched over to LibreOffice, so OpenOffice is redundant and not even that well redundant. I don't know. Yeah, a year. And it was a maintenance fix too. 6 of the 9 releases that they've ever made are maintenance. So anyway, I'm going to skip that. I'm going to go ahead and move on. So the next thing is distro news. I'm not going to be able to do the whole thing though. Like back to back, because there's a lot. So I'm gonna do all of the non-Ubuntu stuff, and then I'm gonna do an Ubuntu segment, like just a big list of Ubuntu stuff. Pop! OS, yeah, or maybe. Not necessarily, yeah, but maybe. Talk Linux to me. Nice. I'm about to. System 76 Pop! OS was released this week, along with all the other Ubuntu-based 1710 distros. System 76 Pop! OS is pretty much right now just a distro that's based on 1710 with some flair, like fancy icons and nice designs and things like that. It's not really that different right now, but there are a few things to make point of, like there are differences. Like, for example, Wayland is by default in Ubuntu 1710, but X was decided to be used as the default for Pop! OS. Also, they're both using the same installer for this release, but Pop! OS is planned to make 1804 have their own custom installer. So they are going to diverge pretty soon, fairly soon. The other thing that Pop! OS has that's different is the ISOs. There's 2 different ISOs. One is just a basic ISO that's like a general that you expect them to have. Then you have another ISO specifically for NVIDIA users, where the proprietary drivers for NVIDIA are baked in by default. I think that's the first distro I've ever seen do that, so that's pretty interesting. So either way, I'm looking forward to giving Pop! OS a try, even if I still don't like their name of their distro. Just take out the exclamation point and underscore, please. Let's just do this. Solus had a big update this week. They introduced 400 packages for the GNOME release, or GNOME version of the Solus, where they either upgraded or rebuilt 400 packages across the GNOME stack. They also added support for Apple AirPrint and IPB Everywhere with the driverless printing functionality. Similar, also, Ubuntu 17.10 introduced this same feature a few months back. So I'm not sure exactly if they're using the same code or not, but it's really good to see that the driverless printing abilities for like Wi-Fi printing is being spread out across distros, because printing is one of the most annoying things about computing, in my opinion. And also, the Linux Steam integration tool received a lot of improvements for better stability and support for more games. Wait, what? Oh, wrong one. That explains why I didn't transition. From a blog post this week, Fedora has announced that Fedora 27 will have RHEL 7 virtual machines provided by GNOME boxes by default for free. All you need is a Red Hat developer account, and then you can install and play with Red Hat RHEL 7 immediately with the Fedora 27 workstation. Speaking of Red Hat, Fortune.com released their first ever Fortune Future 50 list, which is for companies Fortune believes to have the best prospects for growth. Red Hat is included in this futures list. It's kind of confusing that like the actual number of where they are is odd because there's two different sets in this list. There's actually a 25 and a 25. So there isn't really a definitive number that they placed Red Hat at. $36.45. All right, that section is done. There's a lot of stuff. Run Gentoo and Arch International. Okay, cool. Trying to get lyrics, but it's still Ubuntu. Ubuntu's good, so, you know. It's fantastic. Ubuntu's the best distro, period. Anybody who disagrees is wrong. Oh, no, I closed the wrong... I didn't want to close that. I didn't mean to close that. But really, I don't... It's whatever people want to use. I was just making a joke. Use what you want. Ubuntu server for programming. You could. All right. Hello, Mark. Yeah, Pop! OS is still Ubuntu. Pretty much, like, in every way. There's, like, a couple differences. I just wanted to, like, show a few of them. That's all. There's been a pressing question for Canonical as soon as they announced that the Unity desktop was going to be abandoned. People started asking whether they're doing this for a business reason, and are they on a path to an IPO, initial public offering, to become a public company? There's really never been a definitive answer until now. This week, Mark answered the question, and here's what he had to say.
In looking at it, we came to a consensual view amongst the leads at the company that we should put ourselves on the path to being a public company. Yeah. And so that meant that we couldn't have on our books effectively very substantial projects which clearly had no commercial angle to them at all.
Did that video play at all, or did you just hear the audio? That's weird. Because it played on my side. When I came back, it's showing me in the exact same position. It's like, that's not a position he's supposed to be in. So, I guess I'll have to do that offline or something. He's a bit slow from getting on the tech bubble. I don't see what you mean. I mean, Ubuntu is like the leader in cloud distributions. It's the deployed the most, like by far. Like if you look at Amazon's metrics of how many people are using Ubuntu versus any other distro, Ubuntu is like 75% the choice compared to everything else. So Ubuntu is pretty much dominant in terms of cloud and Internet of Things as well. So they're pretty much right at they're not only not slow at it, they're pretty much like a foundational structure of the current bubble. If it is a bubble. It not really. It isn't really. Try using MPV or playing this video. That's what I used. That's why I'm surprised it didn't work. A bit slow. Profiting the IPO, I mean, you don't really need an IPO. Like, they don't have to do it. A lot of companies aren't public at all. There's also massive companies that are not public. That's true. There have been some really high IPOs. Facebook's IPO was absurd. Red Hat OpenShift is also pretty big, yeah. Ubuntu's still the most, though. All right, let's move on. And I will do that recording of Mark after. Okay. Let's start this at 42, 52. Nah, 58. All right. Forgot where I was. Ubuntu Budgie, I said it weird. Ubuntu Budgie. I should probably have like a little bit of a. Ubuntu Budgie 17.10 was released this week, along with the other flavors. This version has a new stylish Alt-Tab function, support for switching the window controls to either left or right, customization of the look and date time in the panel, and while that does seem kind of very minuscule thing, it's actually something really important to a lot of people, including myself, because I want the date to display in a specific way, and I don't really care about the time, but the date I would prefer to do it in an ISO format, so it's year, month, day. But it's really nice that you can have that. Not all desktop environments have that. So, also, Budgie Desktop 10.4 added support for the left and right side panels, allowing you to convert a panel into a dock with features like transparency and dynamic hiding, or auto hiding. Ubuntu 17.10 was released with KDE Plasma 5.10.5 as the desktop environment, with KDE Application 17.4.3, KDE Frameworks 5.38.0, and Qt 5.9.1 stacks. Ubuntu 17.10 switches to VLC as the default media player, which is kind of a good move, considering I don't think anyone would say that Dragon Player is a beloved application of all the options. And also there's a lot of updates for applications such as LibreOffice was updated to 5.4.1 and Firefox to version 56. Ubuntu 17.10 was released. Not a lot has changed, but that's kind of like the selling point for Ubuntu. Ubuntu looks a bit better with 17.10, though, due to the updated icons and improved client-side decorations, which allow you to save some more space on your windows. And they've also started porting a lot more of the different segments of the Ubuntu and XFCE. Like they've already in the process, but a lot have already been fully ported. So XFCE dictionary, Genmon plugin, and the Mount plugins have all been ported to GTK3. So that's very good. It's a very good sign that pretty soon, hopefully, 4.14 will come out. But unfortunately, we do not have an answer just yet on that one. Ubuntu 17.10 was released with a long-standing AbiWord performance bug that's been fixed. The latest version of Audacious has been included with 3.9. 17.10 ships with an upstream snapshot of hard info package, which brings many improvements as they prepare to port to GTK3 for it. And Ubuntu team patched menu cache, PCMan FM, and many other packages that needed security patches. But to be honest, LXDE is not the most exciting thing about Ubuntu. Ubuntu Next is available, but not in the sense of like a 17.10 release. It's currently available as a daily build ISO. But with the current Ubuntu Next, you get ships with Qt 5.9.1 and LX Qt 0.11. Ubuntu Next didn't ship with the image for ISO, as I said, but you can get it as a daily build ISO, which you can find a link in the description below or in the show notes. The Ubuntu Next ISO is not really ready for production, so keep that in mind if you decide to test it. And finally, the last flavor, Ubuntu Mate 17.10 was released and is the first distro at all to ship with a snap pre-installed by default. This particular snap is called Pulse Mixer. It's a command line tool for changing the volume of Pulse Audio's sound system. Essentially, it's like a command line version of Pavu Control. I've tried it a little bit, and it's pretty cool, especially when you can put it in a drop-down terminal. That's pretty fun. Fun? Well, it's effective. It's not a game or anything. The other thing to note for this release is the Mutiny layout of Ubuntu Mate has seen a ton of work and is really, really interesting. The global menu and the heads-up display feature that was available in Unity is now available in the Mutiny layout. The global menu is probably the most impressive part of this, is because it's fully functional with GTK and Qt, and is even compatible with like custom implementations of various toolkits like how LibreOffice, Firefox, Thunderbird, Google Chrome, Electron, and etc. do it. So it's very impressive that they have that much support across the board for the global menu support. It's impressive. And the heads-up display is a little different. Instead of being like in a specific spot, it's on the individual window for the application. So that's an interesting tactic to go with, but I kind of like it. Either way, it's really interesting, and Mutiny might be saving grace for some people who don't want to lose Unity, so they don't want to go to GNOME, but then they don't want to lose all the features that they liked in Unity. They could just switch to Ubuntu Mate and use the Mutiny layout. $49, $36, $38, whatever. Okay, so I got all of the flavors out. Now I'm going to do the regular one. But first, have their own CoreOS Linux. Yeah, that's true. Year, month. No. Paul, I use the 4 full years. So it's YYYYMMDD. Because there's a particular purpose for that. And it's because when you have file names based on the day or the month, it's automatically going to be broken. But if you name stuff year, month, day, it's chronologically ordered automatically. You don't have to worry about how you sort things. So I always sort everything with that syntax of 2017, 10, 21. Zeb, you hate computers. Understandable. Yeah, Ubuntu Next is pretty cool. I'm looking forward to it. I don't know if Wimpy created the name for the layout, but it is a pretty funny name. Well, they created the name before the transition started anyway, so it was already called Mutiny before Unity was canceled. I've had a wireless issue with Ubuntu 17, Monty 1710. Is it only me? I don't know. What kind of wireless issue do you have? That's interesting. It could be a firmware problem or Broadcom. If you got a Broadcom wireless card, that's definitely an issue. I mean, that I don't think they come in with a default. What was the thing he said? Oh, I don't think I put it down. Oh yeah, high DPI. You don't need to install firmware for stuff like that. Like, it should be by default. But it's possible depending on the configurations of the hardware. A new mic, only to realize it needs its own separate power supply. What? That's crazy. That is crazy. My mic is just a USB mic. No power supply needed. It's also from Rock Band. Cost me $30. That's it. It's a really good mic as long as you don't need to do like wireless stuff or things like that. I think it's probably the best USB mic for a decent price. Because it also has like automatic Linux support. Because the kernel drivers are there. I use earbuds for listening, but I don't. The microphone on my earbuds is not very good. You can what? I don't know. But yeah, I'm not on the Discord right now. I actually prefer earbuds when I'm listening to music or something like that. Like when, podcasts and stuff. I just prefer earbuds overall. Because the most important reason, obviously, is so the earbuds kind of just like, go into your ear and kind of dangle down. Whereas headphones have this little bar that messes up your hair. And who wants that? That's just silly. I'm actually making a joke about that, about the whole hair thing. But It's actually kind of true, too. For me, anyway. Wow, Marco, that's just rude. Rude. Okay, so moving on because Marco's yelling at me. It's rude. Wouldn't vid with earphones. What do you mean? You wouldn't wear them in a video. Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't either. I don't like wearing stuff like that. I actually most of the time in my videos when people are talking, like in the Discord or whatever, this microphone is so good that the speakers are like, let's see, right down here, and I just have them going through the speakers. And because this microphone is very directional, it doesn't even pick up the speaker at all, even if it's like a regular volume. It's a really good mic. So anyway, so Marco doesn't yell at me again. I'm going to go ahead and start. Maybe. Please provide a link or shush to my microphone. Is that what you're talking about? Because if you want, I will after the stream. Well, not after the stream. After I get done recording, I'll go look it up because I have way too many tabs running already. So I don't want to add more to it. Ubuntu 17.10 was released with the first release of GNOME or GNOME as the desktop environment for Ubuntu. 17 shipped with Wayland by default for testing purposes. So based on this testing for this particular release, they will decide whether or not to use Wayland or X in the future release of 1804 LTS. So if you want to participate and let them know how it worked out for you, that could be useful for the next release. If you want to use X still, it's also available in the login session screen, so you can choose it to use the Xorg version instead of Wayland if you'd like to, in case you experience issues, like, wanting to record the screen. The Ubuntu GNOME flavor has been discontinued, but if you are using Ubuntu GNOME prior to this release, you can upgrade and it will take you directly to the new Ubuntu 17.10 version. It is also possible to install Ubuntu with the customized GNOME version that Canonical and Ubuntu made, which in my opinion is way better than the default setup because it fixes the top icons issue, it fixes the docking issue, the docks issue, it fixes all kinds of things that I think are very important and make GNOME a usable desktop environment. Or you could use the vanilla GNOME as well and then just build on top of it however you like. But there's one thing to note is that if you have the vanilla GNOME setup, you're not going to have a system tray because it's been removed by GNOME. So you need to install Top Icons Plus rather than the one that Ubuntu made because that one is like a custom package from their repo rather than the extension store. So, look for Top Icons Plus to solve that. Although, unfortunately, in the future, that one won't work either, so who knows. But for now, it works. Ubuntu also replaced LightDM with GDM, which is interesting because LightDM is a project created by someone who works at Canonical. So a lot of distros use LightDM, including Terragos, Ubuntu Mate, Linux Mint. So LightDM is not going to go anywhere, but it is interesting that the Ubuntu proper version is using GDM this time. Now, for some reason, a lot of people seem to care about this particular new feature way more than I thought they would. But the window controls are now on the right side of the window. So, yep, And Ubuntu 17.10 also updated a ton of packages, including upgrading to the Linux kernel 4.13, Python 3.6, and they also removed Python 2, which is pretty good because it's been deprecated for quite a while. And we also talked about in a previous episode that they stopped making a build for the 32-bit ISOs. So this is the first version they're not going to make those anymore. But that only applies to Ubuntu proper. So if you really need 32-bit, you probably wouldn't use GNOME anyway. You'd use something like LXDE or XFCE or Mate, and all of those still have 32-bit builds. So if you're looking for something like that, then definitely check out those flavors instead. Okay, I think that's done. Hopefully it wasn't as scattered as I feel like it was. It felt kind of scattered, but maybe I'm just too picky. Link sent to the Discord. Zeb, were you referring to my... You weren't referring to the Discord. I think you were referring to the microphone I was talking about, right? Just to make sure. Reinstall GNOME session. Fat Elvis, I'm not sure what your question is. When you install Ubuntu 17.10, they give you an option of choosing the Ubuntu customizations or using the vanilla version. So you can choose which one you want it by default. You can also, if you choose the Ubuntu version, you can also like... I'm pretty sure you can like log out and log back into the vanilla version too. But I'm not 100% sure on that one. Yeah, Docker is kind of a weird situation because it's got a lot of cool ideas, and also it's like problematic in the fact that they don't update. A lot of people don't update anything. They'll just make a Docker container and then just like ignore it forever. So yeah, it's contained and stuff, but it's also super old and vulnerable and stuff like that. So that's why snaps are gonna be the future. Not today's, but the future. It ran smoothly compared to last week. Are you talking about me recording when I asked if it felt weird or whatever? Because last week was a little drab, I think. It's because I wrote a script last week for everything I said, and I just was reading a script. And this time I wrote like some outline stuff, and then I ad-lib everything else. The right, where window controls should be. Yeah, I guess. I mean, I don't care. I don't care where they are. But I typically use mine on the right anyway, just because their default on Plasma is right. So I don't care. Ken, do you agree with what? I've said so many things. Or maybe you're talking to somebody in chat. I shouldn't be so presumptuous that people just agree with me when they say that automatically. That's... Oh, okay, cool. Servers will still use Docker and will continue. Yeah, they will. They will still use Docker. A lot of people will because they've gotten used to it. But snaps are really good for servers too. So that's what makes it like so much potential. The snaps have potential for the desktop, for IoT, for servers, for the cloud, like so many things. Like it's pretty impressive, like what they're doing with it. And I can't wait until we finally have a format that we don't have to worry about. Is this available? Is this application available to us? You know, Do we have a format that they're willing to work on? Especially the news about from last week where Solus announced they're going to make a core snap for their Linux Steam integration, of making it possible for them to create a runtime, essentially a runtime for Steam that will work in every distro. That's awesome. So developers can just support this one particular runtime, and then it works for everybody. Marco, I understand. A lot of people don't like it on the left. Marco, yeah, snaps are way better than Flatpaks. Way better. No, like Flatpaks are specifically for the desktop and nothing else. So by default, snaps can do so much more. That means they have so much more potential. That means they're so much more likely to be adopted by developers. I'm not saying that they're fixing Linux gaming. I'm saying that runtime could do that. Like, it could be that good. Although it's far from even usable right now. But I think that it's got a lot of potential, especially snaps versus Flatpaks. I think in the terms of like the three formats that are universal application formats, app images are more useful than out of all three right now. But snaps have a lot more potential for usefulness in the future because it has. App images don't have any security functions, no containerization or anything. So they have potential to be a negative, whereas snaps have that built in. So when they are fully rolled out, they can be way better than app images. They're not right now, but they could be at some point. Whereas Flatpaks is right in the middle of usefulness. So like they're not useful right now. There's very few of them. And they are slower to release stuff than snaps are, so it's more than likely that snaps are going to beat them. Just how it is, man. Or how I see it. Not really how it is, I guess. Also a little presumptuous. One. Oh, it's a 9 now. Okay. All right, next up. Next up this week is desktop environment news. LXQt 0.12 was released today, and I may be the first news outlet to cover it. Probably not, and I definitely won't be by the time this edited version is released. So the stream of the show might be the first to cover it in any real capacity. Either way, still pretty cool, and it's kind of cool that the show that's intended to be rounding up news is breaking some news. LXQt has a lot of new features coming this release, but I think the biggest changes are adding support for high DPI and splitting of LXQt-common into multiple sets of packages, making the DE much more modular structured. I look forward to testing out this release as soon as it's available to do so, because LXQt 0.11 has a lot of potential, and I enjoyed using it. So I can't wait to try out 0.12, and hopefully someday, soon, 1.0 will come from LXQt, and it's ready to go. But until that day, I'm still happy to see things like this being released fairly quickly. As far as Lubuntu Next, I found out that Lubuntu Next 1804 will likely have 0.12 by default, or maybe 0.13. It still won't be the default for 1804. That's going to be LXDE as well because it's an LTS, and it's just better to release an LTS with a tried and true type thing. But it's possible. Just saying, possible that 1810 for Lubuntu could have LXQt. So that will be something to look forward to. XFCE got notification improvements announced this week. The panel plugin displays the most recent notifications as well as allowing for quick access to a Do Not Disturb mode, which is really cool because as someone who's doing a live stream and doesn't have a Do Not Disturb mode on their notification system, it can kind of be cumbersome. So that's a really cool thing that they added. They've also improved logging and made some bug fixes for the notifications. A cool thing about the logging is that they support image displaying for the notification log. So that's really good. Next up is Private Internet Access becomes a KDE patron. Private Internet Access, or PIA, is entrenched in so many open source projects now via funding. It's rather impressive. The massive open source oriented IRC network Freenode is not only funded by PIA, it was purchased by PIA this year. So there's a lot of respect for the work that they're doing, both as a VPN service and all the contributions they're making to the open source community. It's really good. That segment's done. To be fair, Phoronix News is just like copy and pasting from the press release. It didn't actually dive into it. So I know he covered it, but he didn't really cover it. And my point was not necessarily that I broke the news, because I know I didn't. It's just like it's possible that I could have. It just depends on like technically I did mention LXQt in the very beginning of the show, so like right now at this point I didn't. In the beginning, it's possible. Maybe. But anyway, the only people who are going to see it now is the live stream, right? So like the editing is not going to go out until tomorrow morning. So even then, I know I'm not breaking it. It's just like it's a little gray area right there. Oh, I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I totally run a podcast. And it's Laravel. Laravel? I don't know, something like that. And Simon, no, I'm not. Simon, I am not the third, because this is not the first time I have mentioned it. This is just the full coverage of it. So there. The first time I mentioned it was in the very beginning of the show, and therefore, at least second. At least. Yeah, I'm Marco, I know. I was just messing with you. That's all. Wait, why is this all weird? Oh, really? I know it did that. That's weird. No, they didn't. They didn't. I posted it on Reddit first. Therefore, I covered it first. Therefore, it's possibly true. Therefore, shush. And the post on Reddit was before everyone. had time to do anything. Therefore, I know it was first. I'm definitely the first show to cover it. How about that? How about that? Can we compromise there? Thanks. Because I don't think any other show is currently running at all, so whatever. Yeah, but this TuxDigital is me. We are one and the same. We are like an embraced entity of Linux stuff or whatever. What I don't know what I'm saying. But yeah, first show for sure. And I'm okay with that. Next section is hardware news. Linux hardware. Is it weird that I did it like that? That I said it like that? I think it might have been. It might have been. Okay. 01, 17, 06. Not 06, obviously. A little bit weird. Nice. That was the goal. I mean, it wasn't, but after I realized it was weird, it became the goal. I embraced it. Oh, I was about to like start the next segment and forgot to switch it. I embrace the word every day. Nice. The Volad, I'm not sure, Volad, I'm not sure. The first 3D printer to utilize streaming technology and allow you to share online. What it's actually is like it's a cool project because one, it's a printer that doesn't require a computer connected to it. It just connects to a streaming service. You can pull in the models and build stuff that way. That's pretty cool. But what's actually even better is that this is a printer that is based on the BeagleBone Black circuit board that's like a competitor to the Raspberry Pi, and it's also running Debian to make everything work. So I think they also already backed everything. I think it's fully funded now. Yeah, funded within the first day. So they're fully funded and may even get a little bit more. But it's a pretty cool project, and I think it's like $500 to get the first one. But I'm not really sure like what they're kickstarting because it already exists. So it's not like they're kickstarting for development or production or anything, because they're saying that it's going to ship in December of this year. So that's pretty soon. And I doubt I'll actually get one, but I want to play with it for sure. What are the odds that you heard the dogs barking? I think it's pretty much a guarantee. Yeah, that's what I thought. Community support. Yeah, their YouTube channel. What about their YouTube channel? Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure what you're showing me about that, but what you're linking for that. But Thomas, the channel, the video you're referring to, the Plasma 5.11 video, is the video I made and did the editing and voiceover and all that stuff. So if that's what you're asking, yes, I made it. The funny thing is, they asked me to make it like 3 months ahead of time. They gave me like 3 months of, maybe it was 2 months. I don't know. Significant amount of time for preparation. And I think I finished it the day before. So it's a little bit of a rush job, but it came out very well, and I'm going to hopefully do 5.12 as well. I don't know for sure for a fact yet, but hopefully I will. And if I do, it will be even better with like lots of fancy stuff with transitions and things and stuff and whatever. 'Cause why not? Who doesn't like fanciness? I like fanciness. Purism announced on their blog this week that their laptops are now shipping with the Intel Management Engine disabled by default. The Intel Management Engine, or ME, is a separate CPU that can run and control a computer even when it's powered off. Yeah, I don't know why Intel thought that was a good idea or why it still even exists and why don't they stop it. I don't know. But a lot of security analysts in the security community in general are not fans of this kind of thing because it's firmware that can do whatever it wants and you have no way to change it. But thankfully, there have been people who've been working on it for a very long time have figured out that there is a way to disable it. You can just turn off the firmware so it can't load itself back up. So while it's, kind of like a transitional fix, it is a permanent fix for hardware that you can have control of the BIOS. So this was thought, like, everybody used to think that it was impossible to disable the management engine. But it totally is possible now, and all Librem laptops that are being purchased from now on already have it disabled. And if you run an upgrade to your firmware, if you already have one of the laptops, you can get it disabled from that way too. The reason why they can do it is because they basically built their own BIOS firmware using Core Boot and some other stuff I don't remember exactly, but so it allows them to directly halt the management engine without the engine being able to like recover the ability to come back from it. So it's like a verifiably disabled feature. So disabling feature, I mean. So it's really good that they're doing this, and hopefully it'll mean that other computers can release, or specifically distros or whatever, can release patches to turn that off, because no one likes it other than Intel. And gives me kind of like an incentive to want AMD at this point. Hardware is done. Fat Elvis, it runs Core Boot. disables it. Nice. Yeah, this update patch is a flash of the firmware BIOS. So it's just cool that they're doing it. Kernel legal stuff. Yay. So we got one more funny as in terrible. Not this though. Story like the Apache open office thing that I will mock because it's silly. But this is not it. This is a different thing. Just so you know, there's one more of those. This week, the Linux kernel community enforcement statement was issued, and with it, it's basically a fix for some interpretations of the GPL2 license that is used for the Linux kernel. Unfortunately, a developer from the NetFilter community, Patrick McHardy, has been trying to enforce his copyright claims in secret and for large sums of money by threatening or engaging in litigation with companies. So this particular community statement is making it possible so that his devious tactics to try to threaten money out of people will no longer be possible, because by using or working with the kernel, you are agreeing to this enforcement statement, which means that people like this won't be able to make these types of claims anymore. So what's happening is they're taking certain aspects of the GPL v3 and then applying them to the GPL v2 while still being GPL v2 based. So it's like a mixed license type thing, but still mostly GPL v2. So they're not going to like change the license. They're just also adding this enforcement statement on top of it to kind of create an umbrella to cover this particular type of situation. And what's interesting is that if just years ago, almost 10 years ago, Linus Torvalds was answered the question of whether he should change the kernel to GPL v3 instead of v2, and his point of not doing so was because you're supposed to make private signing keys available for the GPL v3 based on like this DRM implementation of the license. And Linus called that insane, and I tend to agree with that. So I think this is a nice stopgap to fix this issue and also future issues based on it, while at the same time still not having to relicense. Paul, when you say that it's why you are copy left, I don't know what you mean, because the GPLV, all the GPLs are copy left. Oh, Marco, I didn't see the G plus Linus thing. How do you check that out? The BIOS locked Lenovo X220. Yeah, you can flash it. Not sure how reliable it is to do that, though. I would definitely check into that. Copy far left, maybe. That's MIT, probably. The Apache license, MIT license are essentially just do whatever you want. Now you can flash BIOS with just, you know, a flash drive, or sometimes just an install. Like sometimes you can do like patches through the operating system, but like a USB flash drive would be all you need. IP abolitionist. I'm actually in support of IP because there are certain cases where people shouldn't make money off of the work of others, you know, just because you want to. I think that's a bad idea. So there's certain cases where copyright and IP are important, and there's other cases where sharing and social coding and just open source it well as a whole is important. So like I think it's a nuanced situation. I don't think either way fully is a good idea. All right. Next. Linux Mobile. Samsung announced their phone as a desktop concept can run Linux. It's the DEX, or I'm not sure it's supposed to say DEX or not, but it's giving an ability or capability for mobile devices to run Linux-based distributions. This particular type of thing is going to be distributed as an app to run on top of Android phones. So it's interesting because it's not a virtual machine and it's not containerization or emulation. It's more of a compatibility layer to provide support for running a different distro on top of the Android device while also using the Android kernel. So the Linux kernel in Android is a modified version of the kernel, so it is Linux, but it's also modified Linux. So so it's kind of interesting to see how this would work with a distro because it's a different kernel. And would they have to package the distro to support this particular thing or not? Or they could just plug and play type of thing. That's no idea. The information we have right now is that it will be a compatibility layer, not virtual machine, and we don't really have any kind of a announcement for timeline because it's not publicly usable yet, but it does look like it has a lot of potential, and I definitely would give it a try as soon as it's available, especially if it doesn't require root or anything on your phone, especially that. Oxygen OS Android 8.0 Open Beta was announced by hothardware.com and saying that you can now use the Oxygen OS beta version based on 8.0 Oreo on your OnePlus 3 or OnePlus 3T phone. That's not really that interesting, and I only brought it in because it's current, and I want to talk about something else about OnePlus. So, OnePlus was caught collecting personal information about their users. They were collecting personal identifiable analytical data from all of their users, all of their phone owners. So, it was getting tracked for the phone number, the IMEI number of the phone, the serial number of the phone, the Wi-Fi networks it's connecting to, and a bunch of other stuff. And it didn't matter, if it was like a certain ping for a particular event. Like maybe certain events could trigger something that's somewhat relevant. This happened all the time always, regardless of what app you run, and just by opening an app, it would do this. So they were tracking like everything you do, and they were sending it to their own servers, but not telling anyone they were doing this. Somebody just found a weird like packet being sent, and then started like digging into it and finding out that they did all of this stuff. Then once they found out, OnePlus decided to say that they're going to stop collecting certain information. So they're not going to take your IMEI number. They're not going to take your COA number. They're not going to take your phone number anymore. So they're going to take everything else still, but they're also going to give you an opt-out option. So, they're totally fixing that problem for sure. So anyone who's using OnePlus device, this is just a quick tip. Lineage OS is definitely something you should check out. Just replace the OS entirely, and Lineage does work on OnePlus devices. So definitely check it out. And as soon as the Librem 5 gets out, or comes out, we'll totally check that one out too. But that'll be a while. Oh, and speaking of which, if you use the OnePlus 3 or the OnePlus 3T, make sure you get the right ISO for the right phone, because they don't really clarify which one is which that well. So you got to make sure that you put the 3T version on, not the 3, if you have a 3T. Because you could brick your phone. Not guaranteed, but it's possible. So be sure to clarify which one it is. You know what's actually annoying? I was talking to someone trying to convince them to check out OnePlus, because I was like, that phone is pretty good. It's got a good price. It looks really good. It looks like a reasonable device. And then like 2 days later, this announcement comes out, and I'm like, really? So I sent him a message like, hey, you know when I told you to check out that phone? Don't. It's a Linux on top of Darwin. Not Darwin, but kind of. Darwin's a Mac thing. It's a Linux on top of Surface Flinger. A Faro GPL is often used for servers and service-based software. Yeah, I don't really want a Samsung phone for this either. They're like $900. It's like, just for that? Nah. I'll pass. I'd rather buy like one of those $75 terrible crappy Android phones. I'd be okay with that more. There are a lot of people who have OnePlus. What's interesting is the recent episode of Ubuntu podcast, Popey was talking about how he flashed his OnePlus phone because of this problem. He put Lineage on it. And I just thought that was too rich not to point out, like, how ridiculous this is. Mainly because I also did that suggestion to someone, and I had to revert that very quickly. And it's like, when I told you to try out this phone, don't. Does it work with the OnePlus 5? I don't know if they. I mean, the Android 8.0 thing was just for. Oh, those ads are annoying. Was just for the 3 and 3T. Oh, Lineage. Yeah. Lineage works on the 1+5 for sure. Lineage works on a ton of stuff. Like the amount of ROMs they have released for devices is ridiculously impressive. Like, because the CyanogenMod team used to have a huge list. The Lineage list is like twice as big minimum, maybe more. Oh, Dalvik, yeah. Yeah, Darwin's the Apple software. But supposedly, though, all OnePlus devices were being tracked like that. Flashed the wrong Lineage file to his phone, which I found hilarious. Oh, I didn't know he did that. That's funny. Yeah, if you put the 3 and the 3T are not very obvious on their site. They use a code name, and you gotta pay attention to the code name. Okay, last one. Section, I mean. Last section is Linux gaming. Linux gaming. One, 4, 3, 15. There we go. Oh, nope. Gotta switch to the thingy. Phone prices have gotten out of hand, yeah. I got this phone for $350, and it's a Nexus 6. I will not spend more than $350 for any phone ever. $400 max maybe, but like no. I'm okay with like these. I have like a $70 phone that I got from LG that's like a little crappy phone. But it's a smartphone and it's surprisingly good for $70. So yeah. I'm okay with like the low end phones. I don't need some $1,000 ridiculous phone. And Marco, no, the Linux news does not include Rocket League. Although, speaking of Rocket League, no, I'm not doing that. All right, I'm going to go ahead and continue for the segment so that Marco doesn't yell at me because he's got me all anxious and stuff. Not really. It's all right. It's all good. All good, man. Okay. We now have received the dates for the next 3 Steam sales due to a leak reported by Kotaku. I'm not really sure where the leak came from, but we do know that the Halloween sale will be October 26th through the November 1st, and the autumn sale will be November 22nd through November 28th, which is like basically through Black Friday. And the Steam winter sale will be December 21st to January 4th. So that's pretty cool that we already know when the dates are going to happen. So if you're wanting to buy a game, depending on what it is, you might want to wait a little bit because it might be going on sale. And who knows? So all the next game news are just going to be games that are already on sale because otherwise you might as well wait. So the Humble Down Under bundle is was been announced today. Actually, not sure if it was today or yesterday. Either way, the Humble Down Under bundle provides pretty much every game except for one support for Linux. So it's pretty cool, and you can get all the games for around $12. I don't know why it's called the Down Under bundle. I assume it's I don't know. They don't explain it. I assume that every developer is Australian or something. Like, why did they call it that? I don't know. But what is pretty cool is that there is a game that I would suggest to check out called Screen Cheat. And Screen Cheat is a game that allows you to play first-person shooter, but you can't see yourself or anyone else unless you look at your opponent's screen. So you can't, like, when you can't shoot them, you know, there's basically when you were like a kid or something, you played these games like GoldenEye or something, you would always look at the other person's screen to cheat and find out where they're coming from. In this game, you're required to do that because you can't see them otherwise. So it's a really cool mechanic that I think is definitely worth checking out if you have it. Next up is Dirt Rally, which is on sale for 80% off. And this particular game is a pretty cool, like, rally sport game. And you can get it now for $12. And the sale ends somewhere around sometime Monday. Not totally sure when, but sometime Monday. I could do the math, but I'm not going to. And also on sale from Feral Interactive, as the people who ported this game, is Grid Autosport for 75% off. And this is also a really cool racing game. And it's got very positive reviews, pretty much entirely. So you can get this game for $10 for the same amount of time. Like they have the same end date. Dog again. Yeah, I saw that coming. I knew he was about to bark. So I just like paused a little bit and was like, nope. I think he's done. It's faster just to let him chill. Oh, come on. I hate that. I wasn't on the right window when I started typing. The worst. City Skylines is 75% off for, I think, the week. Yeah, pretty much the week. So if you're interested in playing this, it's like a simulator for creating cities. It's like SimCity, but more modern and a lot more customization options. And they're constantly adding new DLCs, which in fact they just recently added a new DLC for like green cities. So like environmental effects, and you can build like certain types of power plants and things like that that are green. So that's pretty cool. The DLC just released a couple days ago, like on the 19th. So the fact that they're already putting the game out on sale because of the DLC, that's pretty cool. I appreciate that kind of thing. But so that's all the games for this week. And be sure to mark your calendar for when the rest of the games go on sale. Although, what's interesting is that this game, City Skylines, goes off sale on the 26th, which is when the Steam sale starts. Hey, Hard. What's up, yo? Current shows. You play Sims 2? Yeah, Sims was fun back in the day. I liked SimCity for a little while, but I was never good at it. And I own City Skylines, and I'm not good at it. It's pretty difficult. Nexus 5X for 300 euros. Yeah, it's the same thing, but bigger. Yeah, you're right. I don't get $1,000 for the phone regardless. I mean, I can get a laptop for better, you know. I could buy 3 laptops for the price of one phone. That's ridiculous. I understand a phone being like 500, 600 maybe. But 1,000? That's just ridiculous. Yeah, I think I kill everybody I've ever tried on the City Skylines. It's like I can't do it. But I think I last for like a couple. I think once I get to like 10,000 people, it's just done. Just can't handle it. 22 hours later's all. Oh, okay. Nice, Seb. You're gonna miss the live stream, man. That's unfortunate. The Big Daddy Linux live stream, I mean. But if you've been up that long, you definitely need to take a rest. Marco, thank you for the nice compliment on the show. I appreciate that. I need to work on setting up the show on time better. I think I started the show, 4 o'clock, right? Yeah. That is not good. That is not good. What's funny, I'll go ahead and tell you. I like City Skylines is fun. I do like it. It's just I'm not good at it. So I still like it anyway. But anyway, so I was working on the show today. And I thought I had plenty of time. Like, you know what? This is fine. No problem. I have plenty of time to do this. And then I get sidetracked for about an hour because I saw a video that just annoyed me so much. And it was being discussed in a Telegram group. So I was like, no. Don't base your opinion of this for this video. Please don't do that. Like, ugh. So I had to like explain why it was terrible. It was like, I will not be playing Supersonic Acrobatic Rock Power Battle Cars tomorrow, no. Actually, I probably will be playing it. Probably. I played it yesterday. So, and I'll probably play it today at some point. But anyway, I got sidetracked. So there's this video posted in a Telegram group, and this guy said, I've been trying to avoid Mozilla and all their stuff after I saw this video. And I watched the video, and it's so stupid. The video is so horrible and awful and pathetically made that it bothered me. That I was like, okay, I'm going to explain to you why this is complete crap. Don't listen to this video. And so I just went off on like this little tangent of wasting an hour because of this video, which is so bad. Like, I'm not going to like say who it was or anything, but there was this video where someone claimed that Mozilla funded a domestic terrorist group because they have no ability to do research at all. I spent 15, maybe 25 seconds disproving the claim. Like, it's easy to disprove it. And they were saying because Mozilla had funded this service that was like an email service that automatically meant, because that email service being used by a domestic terrorist group, that Mozilla is funding a domestic. It's like, what? Like, you're not even blaming the tool that they're using. You are blaming an organization that is funding the tool that someone happens to be using. What? The amount of absurdity in that is just crazy. And he said, he's like, I couldn't find out what this site's about. Like, all I could find out was that there's these birds and that they're anti-capitalism and et cetera, and that they have support that this group and stuff. I couldn't figure it out. They don't tell you. Or you could go to Wikipedia, literally tells you what they do, how much they do, how long they've been doing it. Like, it was started in 1999. I'm pretty sure a service created decade before this thing that you're talking about existed wasn't made for them. And the Mozilla group is not funding them because of this thing. Like, are you serious? Like, it's just so dumb. It's like, if you're going to vilify the service for doing the email or whatever, that is ridiculous, but at least it sort of makes sense in the doesn't it all kind of way. But attacking Mozilla is just stupid. It's so stupid. Because it's like, you're indirectly attacking someone. Like, what? And like, even the title of the video has nothing to do with the service. It's just attack on Mozilla. And then this group, and they're automatically connected because of reasons and stuff. Because I'm talking crap. It's like, ugh. Why do people do these stupid videos? Like, if you want views that badly, dude. Anthony, probably not everyone knows, but some people do know. I'm just not going to bring it up. I'm not going to direct it. I did consider making a video. I'm probably not going to, but it has come to my idea to make a video that says, hey, shut up or do some research. Yeah, we need to ban air. Oxygen is awful. Just keep the nitrogen. Get rid of the oxygen. I saw on Twitter saying Mozilla were funded by and tied to surveillance capitalism. That's weird, because they're funding to a thing that's complete opposite of that. Okay. Slip curve, you're upgrading from 1704 to 1710. That's cool. No, it should work fine. If you upgrade from 1704 Ubuntu with Unity to 1710 without Unity, you will still have Unity installed. So you might want to remove that. If you upgrade from Ubuntu GNOME 1704 to Ubuntu 1710, it will actually work pretty fine. Like, it's just a basic upgrade. It's just like, it's like a sidestep upgrade or whatever, but it's just like a normal upgrade would be. So I thought about making a video, but then, the video about completely destroying his entire video of how ridiculous it is. And then I thought maybe not, because my videos are informative or educational, and that's not really informative. That's more like vindictive, to point out the nonsense of someone else. But I wouldn't even make videos typically about people's opinion of like certain things. Like, if someone has an opinion that is different from mine, I don't care. I'm not gonna bother with that. And even the video where people were talking about how Jim Zemlin was using Apple stuff for a keynote, which was never proven, and there was no evidence whatsoever. Even those people, I didn't make a fuss about it. I didn't say, hey, stop your crap. Stop spreading made-up garbage. Unless you have evidence to confirm your claims, don't make the claims. Even those, I didn't make videos on. I didn't make any content specifically about it. I wanted to, but I didn't. But this one is so ridiculous that it is kind of like pushing me towards the edge of like, hey, stop making garbage content, please. Yes, there are people who talk about boycotting Google and how YouTube adpocalypse is horrible and censoring and blah, 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 and they're using YouTube to do so. That is hilarious. But I also disagree with people saying that it's censorship. That's ridiculous as well. It's definitely not censorship. If you care about what you want to get your message across and you don't want to be demonetized, turn off monetization. Hey, turn off monetization on your videos. Problem solved. You can say whatever you want then, and no one cares. But there's so many people who make claims on all these different things that, like, if you take 10 seconds to look it up, you can prove that it's not a thing that you're saying. Like, if you just look at the video I'm referring to, like, pretty much every other sentence that is said can be taken 10 seconds and proven that it's not a problem. Like, it's like, I can't figure out what they're doing. And they're just doing email? Why would you need $100,000 for email? Well, it's because they're not doing just email. They're doing email, XMPP chat, VPN services, Etherpad services, and more. So, yeah, it's more than just email. And if you couldn't figure that out, you don't know how to Wikipedia. Super easy. It's like somehow I am like better skilled at Google searching than them. So I'm like, what? Someone sent me a thing today. It was like someone a Facebook post and said, "Hey, is this real?" And I was like, 10 seconds. I found the answer, and it's like, no, it's not real. I mean, certain parts of it are true, but the way they're presenting it is fake. So here's what's real. Here's what's not. It's just like you like just so much. There's so much nonsense spread now that it's just disheartening, I guess. It's like how people are still talking crap about Canonical and Ubuntu and saying they're doing bad things or whatever. It's like, no matter what they do, people are just going to hate on them. Just guaranteed. It's sad. People totally need to use Wikipedia. Yeah. You know what's sad? Is that it's so common to make fun of Wikipedia. It's like, well, anybody could edit Wikipedia. Yeah, that's true. But just because you can edit it doesn't mean your edit goes public. Because they have these things called professional editors and fact checkers who stop people from making up crap. Now, of course, there's going to be exceptions where people get away with some stupid crap, but typically they're very good at it. And I've even tested it a long time ago where I was trying to see if I could just sneak something in, and they called it and sent me a message say, "Hey, please don't do that." I was like, cool, won't do it again. And it was just to see if they'd check it. And it was some innocuous, obscure page that I didn't expect them to even care about. And I picked it because it was so obscure, and they did care. That is why Wikipedia, people should use it, because they do care. It's not just anybody can change it. People base their policies on memes. Yeah. That's pretty sad, but that's kind of true. Yeah, legacy media at least has competition in the nonsense. Well, now they've actually joined. Some of them have joined the new media and are spreading their nonsense there, such as the the Wall Street Journal making that entire thing about YouTube ads, like the adpocalypse. All of it was because of Wall Street Journal. They made up a bunch of crap which scared advertisers, which then pulled money from YouTube, which then YouTube had to scramble, and which created the adpocalypse. It's like, Wall Street Journal, good job. Good job being horrible. You have not seen the study that only people look for evidence of what they agree with. I've actually, yes, I have seen that. I don't know if you're talking to me or not, but I've seen it. It's still sad and disheartening, even though I know it's a reality. Hey, Colin, thank you for coming to the show. I think this is the first time you've ever been on mine, isn't it? I think it's the first time I've been live when you could be on it, actually. Apologies, this has always been stupid. It's just more transparent now. Yeah. Pretty true. Your English professor wouldn't let you use it, yeah, for citation. You know what's funny? Is that anybody who realized the loophole in that, use Wikipedia, and then once you find the information, they cite everything themselves. You could just use their citation as your citation. So, yeah, you could use Wikipedia, really. I think YouTube's too big to actually be censored. And yes, so we are live. YouTube's is basically, well, Google itself is pretty much ad revenue centric. Um, but they're so dominant in ads that they're pretty fine, pretty much fine. Now that I don't need these anymore, I'm going to go ahead and close all these. That's weird. Oh, that's a lot of stuff. Let's see if I can actually get the video to play once I close all these. Wait. Huh, maybe I can do that. Huh, whatever. Close that. Nope, that's the one I wanted. And I don't think I actually resized any of these. Yeah, I didn't. Alright, let's go back to here. To here. Alright, close all these. And now, my computer goes from running 10 gigs of RAM to 7. So 3 gigs of just the browser. Makes sense. I believe that. Actually, I figured it was more than that. Been installing Lineage OS on my Galaxy S5 all day. Nice. Lineage is pretty cool. How can one increase the presence of Google in their life? There are many ways. There are many ways to impress the googly overlords. HTC 10 rooted it. Fidget spinner. Lineage is actually quite good. HTC Sense UI is usually garbage. How is Lineage on the HTC 10, Paul? We'll close that. And I'm going to... Actually, maybe I should have that up again. I'm going to open here. Disable that.
It doesn't mean ourselves on the path to being a public company. In looking at it, we came to a consensual view amongst non-commercially sustainable. As long as we stay a purely private company, we have complete discretion as to whether we carry things that are not commercially sustainable. Sure.
All right. So now, if I switch to this, and I play it and see what happens.
In looking at it, we came to a consensual view amongst the leads at the company.
I think I don't have it possible to hear that now. It is moving. Yes.
That not commercially sustainable. Sure.
This is 02, 18, 19, I mean, 19 and 20.
In looking at it, we came to a consensual view amongst the leads at the company that we should put ourselves on the path to being a public company. Yeah. And so that meant that we couldn't have on our books effectively very substantial projects which clearly had no commercial angle to them at all. It doesn't mean that we would consider changing the terms of Ubuntu, for example, sure, because it's foundational to everything we do, and we don't have to, effectively. One of the things I'm most proud of is in the last 7 years, Ubuntu itself became completely sustainable.
Did that work? It looks like it worked, sort of. Yeah. Before Google, I mean, Google hasn't even fixed it yet, so the WPA issue is actually fixed in Lineage. Fat Elvis, yes, the new schedule is on Saturdays. He's changing the live stream from Friday night to Saturday night. Exactly if he's changing the time zones and time scheduling, I don't know. I think it's the same time, just on Saturdays. Thank you for the response, Slip Curve. I'm pretty sure I can just use that now. All right, cool. Thank you, Colin. All right. Yeah, Paul, I know. In some cases, there's always going to be somebody who can't make it to stream because of time zone stuff. My goal was to get it where my stream is midday for me, and then everybody else gets benefit from, like, you know, either a little bit early or, you know, evening for them. But then Australia, I can't really cover them most of the time. This time, I was 4 hours late to starting my stream, which was beneficial to Australians. Yes, Sub. I appreciate that that affection. It's very sweet of you. Thanks, Colin. Thank you, Marco. I appreciate that. I still need to work on it, and I got to edit it. So I don't know. I got to figure out a way to make it streamline it much faster. I got to do it faster. The prep stuff mostly got to go faster because, like, I was late quite a bit. I mean, it was because of that dumb video, but it was also because of having to do extra work that I wasn't prepared to do. Oh yeah, Paul, if you watch it after the fact, that's cool too. Colin, yes, Ubuntu is patched. Basically, everything is patched at this point. It only took like a couple hours for everything to be patched. for Linux. So yes, Debian, Solus, OpenSUSE, Fedora, Arch, etc. Pretty much everyone. Yeah, Paul, Solus patched it on Monday. Pretty much all distros patched it on Monday except for a couple. Like I think OpenSUSE was on Tuesday. I think Fedora was also on Tuesday. But Debian, Arch, and obviously Ubuntu because of Debian and stuff like that, and Solus was on Monday. But Google is still not patched. I don't expect those patches to be released until November. Like monthly updates, which is pathetically stupid. Because Android is one of the most vulnerable and most likely to be a target. Yet Google's like, meh. Days bleed into one. That's true. I sometimes forget what day it is. Ask Richard why not on Monday. What? What? What are you talking about? -1 me? What do you mean? Like they downvoted me or something? -1 me? What do you mean? Oh yeah, they did. They downvoted me. It was probably because I was like mocking that terrible video. More than likely. Oh, sub. How am I not surprised? How am I not surprised? Yeah, I knew sub did it. As soon as I saw the number increase, it was like, yep, sub did it. He can't help it. Always has to troll me. Windows is not more secure. This is not this has nothing to do with Windows or Linux or anything. It's Wi-Fi protocol itself. Like the protocol itself was broken, so it doesn't. Everything is invulnerable because of it. So it's not a Windows versus anything or Linux versus anything. I appreciate the thumbs up, people. Very nice. I need to edit the stream. Huh. Yeah, Android 6.0 plus had the big bug. Behind and older than that had different bugs. So it was still affected. It was just affected in a different way. But yeah, it's not a security thing in terms of like the software of whatever OS you're using. It's a security thing in terms of the people who made WPA messed up. I need to make videos for every single Ubuntu release, reviews and such, the flavors and stuff. But I don't know if I'm gonna. I'm definitely gonna make a Ubuntu 17.10, and I'm gonna make a Ubuntu Mate 17.10, and then definitely a cracked video. What else? What else? I might make a Pop OS video. Maybe. Do some gaming videos too. I wonder how people would like an educational, informative channel doing like game reviews. But like Linux games only, of course. What do you think about DeepinOS? I've tried it, but not much. It looks pretty, but the parts I've used were very clunky and not very functional. So it's like nice candy looking thing, but like once you unwrap it, you see bolts. And I probably would do a Rocket League review as well, because I kind of would have to if I did that. Yeah, my reviews would be like legit reviews. That's why I didn't release it on the day for a couple reasons. One, I didn't feel like it. Two, a VM is not enough. And I'm trying to see if I can get some money from like Patreon and stuff so I can buy some SSDs so I can have like testing environments and stuff. Because I'm going to do like a review that requires actual testing of things. And I don't want to replace what I currently have on my machine, but I set up my machine so I can remove the hard drive. Well, actually, not hard drive. Remove the SSD, and then replace it with another SSD, and then do whatever I want, and then swap back and forth without having to take apart the computer. So, I have the potential. I've already set it up. I just got to get the drives. Doimido? I don't know how we're supposed to say that. He ripped into elementary for what? Yeah, rap video. I need to make a rap video. That's true.  'Cause, 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 'cause We need to like collab and like compete against Seuss's ridiculous parody music videos. I can do an exploit mitigation one, yeah. Depends on which one, which exploit. Give a bad review like he always does. Huh. That's lame. Why would anybody want to watch someone always being negative? I mean, sure, sometimes negative. Sometimes negative's okay. But always is lame. Very ambiguous term, so I'm not sure what you're referring to. Anaconda parody. I don't know what Bodak is. Oh, black and yellow. Still streaming. The show's been over like an hour. Actually, no, it's probably like 40 minutes. I gotta get a new chair. That's what I need to do. Crowdfund a new chair. Do more content if I was able to sit more lengthy periods without having back problems. There we go. Content. That's how you get content. See you, Paul. Thanks for coming to the stream. Yeah, that Anaconda song is like for Predator parody. like a song about eating on Anaconda and be like, you gotta do calamari instead, or ubiquity. Maybe even Senshi. We don't want no Anaconda. The GNOME session might be using high DPI or something. Check the settings to see if that's activated or not. I think I'm gonna have to go. It looks like I'm gonna have to stop the stream because it looks like I'm not gonna be able to edit the video until I stop the stream because I'm gonna have to download the recording didn't work local. So I have to download the stream and then edit the video from the stream. So that's okay. It's not a big deal. It's not like I did everything and lost everything. That would have been horrible. But so I'll have to download the stream, then edit it and re-upload it. Oh wait, is the music playing? I just realized the music was playing. I didn't even mean to put that on. Okay. That's why people thought I was like closing the show, because the music just started playing. I didn't even know it. So I looked down, I was like, why are there 3 audio things? Oh my goodness, the music's playing. That would be why. For like 5 minutes. I had no idea. Like that particular, like this one, you see this scene that has the live streaming thing, that has music attached to it, and I forgot that it had music attached to it. It's the only one that has music, so so I switched to it because the show's over, and I forgot the music was on. Thank you. That is the music I use for the episode, the show, like just like the theme music for the show. It's like a bright, cheerful type of EDM type music. You couldn't hear me? Rude. What's funny is that the name of this band who made the music is called Silent Partner. And they are a band that releases their music for royalty free. So you can just use it however you want. And it's kind of funny because the band is like, it seems like they named their band because of the royalty free stuff. I don't know if that's actually why, but it seems funny to me. Because maybe they did. I like Rust. Rust is good. I don't really have a problem with C. I mean, I don't want to use it, but I don't care if others do. I program in English. Yep. I mean, C has issues for sure, but meh. I like Rust, and I'm okay with Go, but I prefer Rust. You like Slipknot? Nice. I like Slipknot's old stuff. Well, some of it. Some of it's just weird. I haven't listened to most of their new stuff though. I started listening to like these crazy bands and stuff, and I found this one really cool. Uh,
Hey, it's Peter Brook, author of 6 Months to Six Figures here.
wow, I hate all these stupid ads. They're like, how I can make you thousands and thousands and millions of dollars in like 2 minutes. I'm like, shut up. Yeah, it's because it's how you sell ads. You get people to buy your crap, and you make more money. That's your process. Ugh. Anyway, that is a uh, metal song from a band with a female singer, and she's also the screamer for the band too, which is pretty cute. C++ is good. Yeah, I've heard of Hailstorm. They're okay. They're not much screamers though. I like the combination screamer stuff. Like regular singing plus screamer is my favorite. Well, actually no. EDM and that kind of music plus EDM probably like tied for favorite. The most annoying thing about this song though, like I really like all of this song I linked, except they pronounce this one particular word horribly and it bothers me. Because there's no reason to pronounce it so weird. I think they just don't know how to say it and they just butchered it instead of asking someone. Just do a Twitch so I can rock out to metal while talking about Linux. Yep. I should, you know, I've done Twitch and stuff before. It's just I don't know. It's easier to create an audience on YouTube than do live stream on YouTube versus Twitch because Twitch is just streaming and it's harder to build an audience and stuff like that. Like I've actually done streams where I had YouTube and Twitch at the same time, and YouTube would have like 30 people up to like 100 people watching the stream, and then Twitch would have like 4. So yeah, Hellstorm doesn't have. I know they don't do screaming. I like them, but they're not screamers, so they're not my favorite. But they are pretty good. Tux Servant. I don't think I'm the KDE guy. I do like KDE Plasma, yes. That is my preference. But I wouldn't really consider myself the KDE guy. Candy, I agree with that completely. That's pretty much my style too. That's why I like stuff like dubstep and EDM. Andy Turfer, yes. Technically, I am the voice of KDE now. That's true. That's true. I'm also more than just the voice, though, because to be clear, I recorded the KDE Plasma video that was released with the project. That video was not only my voice, I also did all the video capturing and editing and everything, and all the transitions and animations and blah, 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 blah. Like, that was all me. Not to brag or anything, I'm just saying I did all of it, whereas previously they had like a bunch of people do it. Oh, Tux Servant, you gave Plasma a shot because I convinced you to. Nice. How do you like it? What is your opinion of it now? I want to code on Twitch because it's no fun with no music. Interesting. And thank you, Andy. I appreciate that. Nice. Glad to hear it. Like there are problems with Plasma. I have issues with it overall. Like there are things, but I think as definitely for a power user, Plasma is way more powerful than anything else. So that's I think it's the best for that type of person. It does have some issues by default. Like for example, it could look better by default very easily. There are certain shortcuts by default are incredibly stupid for no reason. Things like that. Like they could fix that stuff pretty easily. I mean, there's very specific things. Like Plasma has a lot of flexibility, and with that flexibility sometimes comes with weirdness. But like for example, the thing that annoys me the most is their shortcuts by default are arbitrarily confusing mix. Tux Servants, the Bitcoin miner. Nice. If only. If I had some Bitcoin, I would love that. I wouldn't have to be doing Patreon. I'd be like, hey, I'll just sell some Bitcoin. Give me a couple, like $20,000 with 4 Bitcoins. But like for the shortcut system, most of it's good. But the default for there's really not a term for it, but the application window context menu, where you right click a title bar and it gives you the options to like, minimize, maximize, close, or Plasma has like a bunch of extra stuff like always keep above other windows and stuff like that. Like each one of those, and each window manager in each desktop environment has those window context menus. And every single one of them uses a shortcut of Alt space. Plasma does not. Plasma uses Alt F3 for no apparent reason. Just I don't know why. I mean, I know why they originally used it. I don't know why they still use it. It's just ridiculous. And they decided to pick Alt space to be the command to launch KRunner, which tiling window managers don't count. Pretty much any conversation with desktop environments, they don't count, and you know it. They do everything different. That's the purpose. So anyway, the alt space thing's annoying because with every other launcher like Synapse or GNOME or Kupfer or anything, it's control space to open those. Well, I meant desktop environments. Okay, Marco, stop trying to mess with me. But anyway, so they all use the control space instead of alt. I mean, because alt space is for Windows. And when I asked the Plasma team or whoever picked, they didn't tell me who picked it, but like when I asked the KDE team why they chose alt space, they chose it because it's what Apple was using for Spotlight. And my response was, who cares? Your system, your desktop environment looks like Windows. Make up your mind. You're either making people comfortable from Windows or Mac. You can't do both, and it makes sense at all. But it's still alt space, so there's that. So it's just like ridiculous tiny little things like that just kind of mess with the polish of it. Like it's so powerful and flexible and just like amazing in what you can do with it. But by default, there are so many problems. Like there's like and they're easily fixed. They just don't do it. I don't know. Maybe I'm just picky. I could be just picky. Just installed Kubuntu 17.10. Love it. Awesome. Kubuntu is good. I like I don't know. Because certain cases Kubuntu is better than Neon and Neon is better than Kubuntu. It depends on the like hardware and certain things like that. But I made suggestions on some KDE things, and they changed it. So maybe I could like get them to change other things. There are some developers in pretty much every project that are just stubborn and won't listen. Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense for KDE to do it because nothing in Plasma looks like Mac at all. So they just randomly chose that for Mac from Mac. Like, why? You picked this one thing for no reason. Like, come on. But what they could do to actually improve the look of Plasma by default is to make it so that the panel at the bottom and the main menu the panel and the main menu to be the Breeze Dark theme with like the dark blue grayish thing, whereas the regular windows themselves for the applications would be the same regular Breeze where it's got the gray and the white. So it's a combination of the two. If they were to do that, then Plasma would look so much better. Because not everybody wants a dark window theme, but a dark panel theme is actually very good. So if you did both of them, it would look great. I'm not even sure if it's possible to do that, honestly. I think it is, but I don't know. I tried it a long time ago in 4 and it worked, but it was weird and clunky, so Maybe it doesn't work in 5. I'll have to test that out. I'll make a video that's like, this is what plasma could be by default if things were changed better. To change the transparency of the bottom panel. So there's an issue with that, Andy. The way that plasma panels are built is very scalable. Like, it was designed to be massively scalable so that high DPI and stuff like that would be very easy to do. Modifying that stuff for the scalability is kind of problematic because it's done through SVG files. And if you don't know what that is, it's a vector format. But vector formats are powerful because they're written in XML. So XML is just like text-based rendering for images. So you're like rendering an image based on math. So the panel background is actually an XML SVG file, not a setting somewhere. So you'd have to modify that SVG in order to change it. And it's not very hard to modify that SVG. It's just you have to find the right one to do. And then you have to load that up in Inkscape and then modify it and then save it and then put it back to the theme and then it will be fixed. So it is possible, but it is problematic and really difficult to do. So I don't know. It's like either or. You know? It's easier to change GNOME themes, but they aren't reliable. And they don't have like long-term consistency. Whereas Plasma themes are harder to change, but they have massively long-term consistencies. So it's like a trade-off. Like, do you want to be able to make it easy to change or have like future-proof design? I don't know. But to be fair, all I did was install Latte Dock and replace the panels completely, so I don't even use the Plasma panels. I use Latte Dock as a panel, and then you can just control the transparency and opacity like easily, just like a slider. So that's what I do. So while I'm complaining about this one particular thing, it's like, yeah, I don't even use it at all. I just replace it. But anyway, like I said like 30 minutes ago, I gotta get off of here and then go edit it so I can be ready in time for the Big Daddy Linux stream, which I think is in a couple hours, but I don't know for sure. I don't know for sure. Candy, if you want to join that stream, feel free, because I know we talked about that before. And anybody who's still awake who wants to do it. Because it won't be for like at least 2 hours, maybe 3 hours. I'm not sure. This time, I have the music playing for the purpose of the stream. So. Address? Address of what? Now this time the stream's gonna go away. For sure. Like, for sure. Well, I'm not going to sleep. Like, just search that on YouTube, because there's no stream link, because it's a new link every time it starts the stream. But you can join the Telegram if you go to actually here. If you go to destinationlinux.org, there's a bunch of like links for like Telegram and all this other stuff. And there should be a link to the stream at some point somewhere over there. And this way, if you join the Telegram group, he'll post the stream when it happens. But anyway, thanks for coming to the stream and participating in the show. I appreciate that. So, until next time, yes, Slip Curve. Same TuxDigital channel. Not at all the same TuxDigital time. Because I want to be on time next time. So next week, I hope to actually start the stream on time. Can't promise that, but I hope. So, see ya.